Hello, and welcome to my third video. If you haven't had a chance to view the first two, I would suggest going back and watching those so that you get an understanding of my background and my accomplishments. It will certainly add some credibility to my message. Today, and for the next few videos, I want to share a collection of one-liners. We'll call them leadership one-liners. These are random suggestions that I've accumulated while working as a Fortune 500 vice president. Some I've learned the hard way through experience, and others were passed down to me by mentors. Some of these might sound a bit elementary at first, and I know that you're probably using some of these, but I consider all of these worth adopting if you're not already using them, if you want to be a truly effective leader. For some of you, if you've gotten out of the habit, I would suggest you reinstitute, put these back in. For others, if they're brand new, don't overlook the fact that these might sound rather elementary because they do pack a lot of value. So let's dive in. First, date your paperwork. I know we all live in a digital age, but the reality is that most companies still rely heavily on paperwork for legal documents, for HR, security, so forth. So if your company has physical files of paper, make sure that every single page has a date. If a document might be modified more than once in a single day, get in the habit of adding a version like 1A or 1B or so forth. This ensures that your team is always up to date on paperwork. They're all on the same page, and it also creates a paper trail for you. Next, leader-created gossip. I hate to even bring this up. It's never a good idea for a leader to share gossip about one team member with another. In fact, it's always in poor form to gossip. But for a leader to do so, it's absolutely unforgivable. I've seen the damage this causes firsthand. It creates a toxic, guarded environment where your best people will start looking for an exit. If you have a problem with a team member's performance, go directly to them. Bring a supervisor or an HR person if you need to, but keep it professional and direct. No gossiping behind someone's back. Next, body language. This is massive. What I'm talking about includes facial expressions, the way you walk, the speed with which you walk, and your posture. A classic example of this might be a high-stakes poker game we've seen in a movie where the hero spots a tiny twitch in the villain's eyes and knows that he's going to win the pot. In the real world, that doesn't happen, but your team and your suppliers and your customers are all reading you the same way. If you stand with your arms crossed, you're signaling to the room and everybody else that there's no way you're going to negotiate. And if you walk in a meeting with your head down, your shoulders are slumped, your team's going to assume you're having a bad day or you're unhappy with their work. Always guard your posture and strive for a neutral or positive physical presence. Next, dressing the part. Upon meeting someone for the first time, I'm sure we've all formed an opinion, usually within seconds before they even open their mouth, usually based upon what they're wearing, but also considering how they walk and their facial expressions. Whether you work on Wall Street or whether you're working in a virtual meeting, your dress should reinforce the message your company is trying to send. Your attire should express an image that says, I'm one of you, not I'm not one of you. I'll never forget a story from a friend of mine named Paul, who is a sociology professor. He watched an interview process for a top accounting firm. Most of the candidates were senior graduates, but Bob was a person who had 2 years of experience in the real world. He seemed like a shoo-in. But when Paul, my friend, asked the hiring agent his thoughts on Bob, his reply was, "Did you see his belt buckle?" This was years ago, but I've never forgotten that reply. Did you see his belt buckle? His belt buckle screamed, I'm not one of you. Bob didn't get the job because the hiring manager couldn't get past his large cowboy-style belt buckle. He didn't think Bob would fit the culture. Fair or not, dress matters. It sends a message to your customers and to your staff. And if you're a service company, make sure your team isn't showing up with muddy shoes or, heaven forbid, the classic plumber's butt crack. That creates a negative impression that sometimes no amount of good work can fix. If I was in charge of a company where staff members interacted with customers or suppliers, they would be required to wear some company-issued clothing or signage that indicated they represented the company. Failing to do so is a lost opportunity to increase one's brand. If you like what you're hearing today, be sure to click the like button below. Finally, one last suggestion. Speak language the customer understands. If you've worked in a profession or industry for some time, you have probably added words to your vocabulary that the customer may not understand. Using industry terms might be second nature to you, but it might simply be confusing to the customer, and no one wants to be perceived as ignorant, so they might not even ask you to explain what the meaning is of some of these words. Therefore, they aren't understanding all of your message. When talking to a customer, be careful of using industry terms. Make sure you are using terms that they understand. It will build trust and strengthen your business relationship. That's all for now, but join me next time as we continue building your leadership toolkit.